of Helena. Chapter 1. Neon Nights and Cherry Blossom Blues. Hold up. Helena's voice was a soft melodic contrast to Jeremiah's usual gravel, and it cut through the room like a sharp knife. Y'all been hearing about him for a minute now, she said, gesturing a hand towards me. But you only heard his side of the story, the grimy, bloody, tragic opera of a man. But you ain't hear the song of the woman who was there. So sit down, shut up, and let me tell you something. She took a seat beside me, her presence a calming anchor in the chaotic energy of the room. Her hands, which I knew could wield a comma with deadly precision, were soft and relaxed in her lap. The faint scent of cherry blossoms and steel, her signature, filled the air. This man, she began, a small smile playing on her lips. This obsidian blade, he was a hurricane of a man. 1 minute he was all Hikari, she said, a playful jab. That bright, sharp light of clarity and righteous fury. Next, the Yami would hit, them deep, dark shadows of despair and doubt. She looked at me, a flicker of something old and familiar in her eyes. It's a constant war inside him, an interior battle that shapes his every move. So the dude, this modern-day samurai from the concrete jungle, decides to bounce, I picked up, letting my own gruff voice fill in the gaps. He's off to Japan, the land of ancient warriors and neon dreams. He ain't just there for the sushi and sightseeing, nah. He's looking to sharpen his skills, to hone that blade, both the steel on his hip and the one in his spirit. Ninja training, son. A ninja! Tempo scoffed, a sonic pulse of amusement rippling from her. The great obsidian blade, a ninja? With a bipolar flow? I'm sorry, I call an unraveling flow on that one. The chaos would have made him the world's most destructive student, not the most disciplined. That's the point, ain't it? I retorted, a wry grin on my face. The kind of discipline that could maybe, just maybe, tame the storm inside. I glanced at Helena, remembering those early days. But even a warrior's gotta unwind, right? When the dojo doors close and the sensei ain't looking, Jeremiah sought his fun in the neon-drenched alleys and smoky dens of Japan's nightlife. We talking about the kind of fun that numbs the pain, the kind of fun that lets you forget, even for a little while, the ghosts that haunt your every waking moment. Yeah, you know the script. The sweet poison of drugs, the fleeting comfort in the arms of sex workers. Ah, the self-destructive spiral, Samson intoned, his voice deep and disapproving. A warrior without purpose is a leaf in the wind. To seek comfort in such fleeting and dishonorable acts is to surrender one's soul. He was trying to escape the war in his head, find some kind of peace, even if it was just a temporary ceasefire, Helena explained softly, her hand reaching out to touch mine. And that's where I stepped into his story, a cherry blossom in a world of concrete and steel. He didn't know it, but he wasn't alone in that darkness. My life was a hustle, a constant struggle to survive. Wait. Shortcut's hands were a blur of motion. You two just happened to meet in the same self-destructive spiral? That's a statistical anomaly of the highest order. What was the probability? Was there a twisted chance flow at play? Was this a predetermined nexus point in your temporal signatures? There was something about her, something that cut through the haze of Jeremiah's self-destruction, I said, my voice quiet now, the memories flooding back. Maybe it was her eyes, holding a universe of secrets. Maybe it was her smile, a fragile flower pushing through cracked pavement. Whatever it was, it hit me harder than any martial arts master. In the neon glow of a Tokyo night, under the watchful eyes of ancient spirits and modern temptations, the obsidian blade, the warrior fighting demons both inside and out, found something unexpected. He found me, Helena finished for me, her smile a little wider now, a little more real. And that, my friends, is where our story truly begins. The kind of story that changes a person down to their soul. The kind that can make them or break them. And it's a story that will get told, I added, giving her hand a squeeze. Word up. It gets heavy real fast. Of Helena. Chapter 2. Whispers in the Shoji and the Shadow of the Syndicate. 8. So boom, Jeremiah and Helena, they start building something, I said, taking over the story. It ain't just a late-night rendezvous and the shared bottles of sake no more. There's a vibe, a real connection brewing under the surface. I looked at Helena, and she gave a small, knowing smile. Helena, with her quiet strength and eyes that seemed too much, starts to chip away at the ice round the obsidian blade's heart. She ain't judging his past, the darkness he carries. Instead, she sees the flicker of Hikari light still burning deep inside, the warrior spirit that refuses to be extinguished. You were a leaf in the storm, Jeremiah, Samson rumbled, his voice a low, disapproving thunder. And she was the anchor that found you. There is a certain kind of honor in that, to guide a warrior lost to his own rage. They spend in days training. Not just the ninja arts I came for, but this new kind of training, I continued, a fond memory of those days. full of quiet moments and unspoken truths. Helena, she got this way about her, calm and centered, like the eye of my bipolar storm. She teaches me about the subtle flows of energy, not just the chaotic ones I'm used to, but the quiet currents that connect all things. So you're saying she was a flow whisperer? Shortcut buzzed, his fingers twitching with a need to draw something out of thin air. Like, she was resonating with the unseen currents that connect everything? That's some serious next-level quantum entanglement right there, man. She sees the yami in me, the shadows, and instead of running, she helps me understand them, not as a weakness, but as a part of my power, a part of my truth. I paused, looking over at Shadowfang, a silent nod passing between us. She knew that truth better than anyone. But this ain't no romance novel, fam. The street's always watching. Turns out, Helena ain't just some random beauty. She got ties, connections to the underbelly of Japan, the kind of folks who operate in the shadows, where honor and betrayal dance a deadly tango. The Yakuza, Tara whispered, her voice like a rustle of dry leaves. The earth remembers their footsteps. Their energy is rooted in old traditions, but corrupted by greed. It is a slow, methodical poison. Word starts getting around about this foreigner, this gaijin warrior, spending time with Helena. And not just any Yakuza, but a faction known for their ruthless efficiency and their deep, almost mystical understanding of certain energies. I felt the tension in my shoulders rise, the memory of those stares, those whispers, making my skin crawl. Jeremiah, he ain't naive. He feels the eyes on him, the shift in the atmosphere when he's with Helena in certain parts of the city. His street senses, honed by a lifetime of looking over his shoulder, are screaming. Helena, she tries to shield him, to keep her world from bleeding into his. But it's like trying to hold back the tide with a paper fan. Helena's voice was a little softer now, a little sadder. My past, my obligations, they're a shadow that stretches long and dark. I got a debt, a loyalty to these people, something I can't just walk away from. That's a classic, tired, narrative trope, Tempo interjected, her arms crossed. The damsel in distress with a secret past? So cliché. This is why a writer needs a good editor. It's not a cliché if it's true, I growled back, a flash of my old temper showing. One night, things get real. We in some quiet izakaya, shoji screens filter in the moonlight, the scent of grilled fish and steak in the air. It's almost peaceful. Then the door slides open, and it ain't no friendly local looking for a late-night snack. It's them, the syndicate, looking sharp, looking deadly, and looking straight at Helena, then at me. No words spoken, but the message is clear. The fun is over. The shadows are closing in. My quest for ninja skills and a moment's peace just got a whole lot more complicated, I finished, the grim memory of that night still fresh. I ain't just fighting my own demons no more. Now I'm caught in a web of ancient codes, underworld politics, and a love that might just get us both killed. The Obsidian Blade is about to find out that even in the land of the rising sun, the darkness got a long reach.
I need her free, no matter the cost. The price is your life as you know it. Become the Obsidian Blade, and she walks.
8, so the Yakuza cats slide out of that izakaya, leaving a chill colder than a Tokyo winter, I growled, the memory of that night still a cold weight on my soul. I knew that was a warning shot, a tap on the shoulder from the kind of dudes who don't make idle threats. I turned to Helena, that Hikari light in my eyes searching hers, trying to read the story behind the calm mask she wears. That's when the dam breaks, Helena said, her voice a fragile whisper. I finally let it out. Not all at once, nah, but in pieces, like a shattered mirror reflecting a whole lot of hurt. She paused, taking a deep, shuddering breath. This life, this world of shadows and obligation, it wasn't my choice. I wasn't born into it like some Yakuza princess. Nah, I was pushed. My mom, back in England, she wasn't serving no tea. She was serving up her own daughter, tricking her into the life when I was just a kid. Too young to know any better. Too young to understand the price of the pretty things her mom's dangled in front of her. Sold my innocence for a fix, for a way out of her own damn misery, and dragged me right down into the mud with her. So your mother was a memory eater? Shortcut blurted out, a horrified look on his face. She consumed your past? Your innocence? For her own fix? That's some messed up psychological warfare right there. The cognitive erosion. The sickness of the spirit. It started way back then. From the gray streets of London to the neon-lit alleys of Tokyo, my life was a hustle. A constant struggle to survive in a world that saw me as a commodity. A plaything, Helena continued, the pain in her voice raw and real. And the pain, the weight of all that trauma, it was heavy. So, like too many in the struggle, I found a way to numb it. Drugs, the quick escape, the temporary silence in the storm of my memories. It wasn't about getting high, it was about getting gone, even if just for a few hours. There is no honor in a mother who preys on her own child, Samson rumbled, a deep, resonant anger in his voice. And there is no honor in a society that allows such a perversion of the spirit to exist. Jeremiah listens, his own Yami shadows responding to hers. That bipolar flow inside him churning with a different kind of energy now. Not just rage, but a deep, resonant empathy, I said, remembering the profound connection I felt in that moment. I saw the scars she carries, the ones hidden beneath the silk kimonos and the polite smiles. I saw the little girl lost, the one who never had a chance. And that warrior spirit in me, the one that always made me stand up for the underdog back in the light, it ignites. The Yakuza, they ain't just watching Helena, they own a piece of her. A debt, not just money, but something deeper, a life marker. And they here to collect. Looking at Helena, seeing the lifetime of pain in her eyes, I make a choice, I continued, my voice low and heavy. A heavy one, the kind of choice that changes a man down to his soul. I tell her, I got this. I'm gonna repay her debt. I'm gonna buy her freedom, even if it costs me my own. I go to the clan, the syndicate, walks right into the lion's den, that obsidian blade on my hip more than just a weapon. It's a statement. I make him an offer. My skills, my loyalty, my life, in exchange for Helena's. I'll join their ranks, become one of their enforcers, one of their shadows. I'll give up my name, the one that ties me to a past I'm already running from. From now on, I'll be only the obsidian blade, a weapon to be wielded. And that's a perfect example of a toxic love flow, Tempo chimed in, a cynical edge to her voice. Your bipolar flow amplified her negative traits, and you became her weapon. You're poisoning her relationships and destabilizing her harmony, just so she can be with you. It's so beautifully destructive, I almost want to write a song about it. The clan bosses, they ain't stupid, Helena said, her eyes fixed on the memory. They see the fire in this gaijin, the raw power in his flow, the deadly grace in his movements. A warrior like him? Priceless. They agree. But there's a catch. To truly be theirs, Jeremiah Crumpler has to die. So they do the paperwork. Official channels, back alleys, bribes, whatever it takes. Death certificates are signed, records are erased. To the world outside Japan, to anyone looking for him, Jeremiah is gone. Vanished. Another ghost in the system. And that's where the absence conduit flow comes in. Shortcut exclaimed, his hands flying. They didn't just kill you, they erased your temporal signature. Your past, your presence, all of it was nullified. It was a brilliant, terrifying tactical move. You weren't a ghost in the machine, you were a void. The obsidian blade is reborn, forged in sacrifice and bound by a blood oath, I finished. The weight of that moment of physical presence in the room. I stepped into the shadows to save Helena, but in doing so, I might have just damned myself. The price of freeing that poison blossom was my own identity, my own future. And the streets of Tokyo, they just got a new deadly plague of Helena. Chapter 4, Blood, Oaths, and Cherry Katana. 8, so Jeremiah, or the Obsidian Blade as he's now known in the underworld, ain't wasting no time, I said, a grim smile on my face. He's officially off the grid, a phantom. The clan, these Yakuza cats, they don't play. They put him through the ringer, testing his loyalty, his skills, his stomach for the kind of wet work that makes ordinary dudes piss their pants. This ain't no ninja dojo with padded mats and honorific bows. This is blood in, blood out. So he became an assassin for a bunch of backstabbing cowards? There's no honor in that, Samson grumbled, shaking his head with disapproval. His first few assignments? They ain't pretty. Collection runs that turn into back alley brawls under the flickering neon signs of Shinjuku. Negotiations that end with the blade's katana singing a deadly song, leaving a crimson stain on the tatami mats. He moves like a whisper, that bipolar flow of his a controlled storm now, the Hikari light a focused beam of deadly precision, the Yami shadows his cloak. The phantom flow. So you were using the absence conduit flow to move like a ghost, to nullify their presence and make yourself imperceptible, Shortcut exclaimed, his hands buzzing with excitement. That's a powerful and evasive tactical advantage for infiltration. So you were a ghost ninja after all. I ain't enjoying it, nah. Each life I take, each bone I break, it chips away at something inside me, I confessed, the memory a bitter pill on my tongue. But I see Helena's face, I remember the price of her freedom, and I push through. I become a phantom, a whisper of death, my reputation growing like a weed in concrete. The Yakuza fear me, and they respect me. I'm the one they send when they want a problem to disappear, permanently. And that, my love, is how you become a twin demon flow, Helena said softly, her eyes filled with a dark pride. I became the rage, the Oni energy, and you became the controlled storm, the purpose. We were a volatile fusion, a synchronized monster of destruction. A twin demon flow, Tempo muttered, her face a mix of awe and disgust. That's just so unhealthy. A destructive force arising from deeply intertwined relational dynamics, amplifying negative traits and creating discord. It's so on brand for you two. One particular mission puts me on a collision course with a rival Oyabun, a ruthless old bastard who's been making moves on their territory. This ain't just a collection run. This is a message. The clan wants this Oyabun taken out, clean and quiet. It's a suicide mission, basically. The old man's fortress is impenetrable, his guards loyal and numerous. I take the assignment without a word. This is what I signed up for. He prepares, a silent ritual in the dead of night. He dons his gear, the dark, functional attire that lets him melt into the shadows. The new katana feels like an extension of his arm, cold and hungry. As he's about to slip out into the rain-soaked Tokyo streets, I stop him. Helena continued, her voice soft. I don't say nothing, just look at him, my eyes filled with a world of fear and love. I press a small, intricately carved wooden charm into his hand, a protection amulet, blessed by monks from a hidden temple, a fragile piece of hope against a tidal wave of violence. He nods, a silent promise passing between us. Then, he's gone, swallowed by the night. The obsidian blade, the Gaijin warrior bound by a blood oath, is off to dance with death once more, all for the woman who showed him a flicker of light in his own personal darkness. But the shadows in Japan are deep, and even the sharpest blade can get lost in them. The payment for Helena's debt is far from over. It's only just begun. Word, I finished. The memory of that mission, of that silent promise, a bittersweet pang in my chest. I was a ghost, a whisper of death, but I was her ghost, and her whisper too. Of Helena, Chapter 5, The Serpent's Coil and a Fragile Escape. 8, so the obsidian blade is making waves, right? I started, a hard edge in my voice. Too many waves for some folks. He's this Gaijin enigma, this outsider, who ain't just good with that cherry-hilted katana, he's too good. He moves with that unpredictable bipolar flow, 1 minute a calm sea, the next a damn tsunami. He's taken out targets others couldn't touch, accomplishing missions deemed impossible. He's an asset, yeah, but he's also a threat. A loose cannon. And in the Yakuza world, loose cannons got a way of backfiring, Helena added, her voice a low, chilling whisper. The old guard in the clan, the ones who've been doing this dirt since before the blade could even tie his own shoes, they start getting nervous. They see the power in him, the raw, untamed energy. He ain't one of them, not really. He's a tool, yeah, but a tool that's getting too sharp, too strong, I said, a bitter taste in my mouth. They start wondering, what happens when this Gaijin weapon decides he don't want to be pointed no more? What happens if he turns that edge on them? Quote, wait, so they wanted to use you, but then they got scared of you? Tempo's voice had a high-pitched, incredulous tone. That's a classic order-bringer dilemma. They crave structure and control, but a chaotic, unpredictable anarchist chorus like you is a variable they couldn't calculate. Their rigid logic was no match for your wild card, flow. They couldn't compute you, so they decided to suppress and erase you. Whispers start slithering through the ranks like snakes in the grass. The foreigner is too powerful. He doesn't respect the old ways. He's a stain on our honor. Jealousy, fear, ambition. It's a poisonous cocktail, and it's brewing fast. The same bosses who welcomed his strength now see it as a liability. They start plotting. And I was part of that plan, too, Helena said, her eyes dark. I'm a loose end, an attachment that could make their weapons sentimental. They were going to clean house. She ain't blind. She feels the shift, the way the clan members look at us now. The respect is gone, replaced by a cold, calculating glint in their eyes. The stolen moments of peace become fewer, overshadowed by a sense of impending doom. She knows the Yakuza code. She knows what they do to those they can't control, or those who know too much. So she comes to me, her voice barely a whisper. They're going to betray us, Kenzan. That's what she calls me in our private moments, a softer name for the hardened warrior. We have to leave, now. And I see it too. The subtle insults, the impossible missions designed to get me killed. The serpent is uncoiling, ready to strike. My oath was to protect Helena, and if that means breaking another oath to these backstabbing snakes, so be it. A noble, albeit foolish decision, Samson commented, his tone still heavy with judgment. To break one oath to honor another. The flow requires balance, Jeremiah, not reckless acts of defiance. We make a plan, desperate and dangerous, Helena said, ignoring him. We gotta disappear, not just from the clan, but from Japan itself. We gather what little we have. Some cash, fake passports courtesy of a contact I still trust from my old life, and our weapons. The blade, he ain't leaving that cherry-hilted katana behind. It's a part of him now, a symbol of the blood he's spilled and the sacrifices he's made. Under the cover of a moonless night, rain lashing down on the slick Tokyo streets, we make our run. It's like a scene from a damn movie, hearts pounding, senses on high alert. Every shadow looks like an assassin, every distant siren sounds like our doom. We gotta get to the docks, to a freighter that'll take us anywhere but here. But you almost made it, Shortcut exclaimed, his hands fluttering with anxiety. You were right there, tasting freedom. What went wrong? Was it a quantum glitch, a temporal stutter that made you miss the boat by a fraction of a second? That's when tragedy, that cruel bitch, decides to make her entrance. Just as we're about to slip onto the gangplank, a figure emerges from the shadows. Not Yakuza. Something different. Faster. More sinister. This ain't no street-level enforcer. This is a pro, a ghost. Before I can even fully register the threat, before my bipolar flow can surge to meet it, the figure moves. A flash of steel, too quick to follow. It ain't aimed at me. It's aimed at Helena. Helena's voice caught, a quiet sob escaping her lips. A choked gasp. The protection amulet slips from my fingers, clattering onto the wet ground. The blade whirls, his katana already in his hand, a roar of pure Yami rage erupting from his soul. But it's too late. I stumble, my hand pressed to my side, a dark stain blossoming on my kimono. My eyes, those beautiful, haunted eyes, find his. There's no fear in them, just a deep, profound sadness. And love. Kenzan, I whisper, my voice like a fading cherry blossom petal. And then, I fall, right there, on the edge of escape, on the threshold of a new life, I finished, my voice raw and full of grief. Tragedy didn't just hit. It struck right at the heart of the obsidian blade, tearing my world apart. The rain keeps falling, washing the blood into the grimy waters of Tokyo Bay. Freedom was so close, but the price of the streets is always paid in full. Always. Of Helena, Chapter 6. The Ghost of a Chance and the Roar of Yami. Rain ain't just fallen on Tokyo Bay. It's fallen inside me, I say, my voice hollow, raw with the memory. Helena gone. That single word, that single image, it shatters whatever calm I'd fought to build. The protection amulet she gave me, now lying in a puddle of blood and rainwater, is a cruel joke. The Hikari light that Helena had fanned within me? Snuffed out. All that's left is Yami. Pure, undiluted, soul-crushing Yami. And with it, the bipolar flow ain't just a current anymore. It's a goddamn nuclear reactor going critical. The rage that erupts from me ain't human. It's a primal scream, torn from the depths of a broken soul. I'd hold up, Tempo said, her voice unusually subdued. So your Yami flow, your destructive energy just took over completely? Like a bipolar flow gone manic and chaotic? It wasn't just amplifying your emotions, it was becoming you? Yeah, pretty much, I admitted, the memory of bitter taste. That assassin, that ghost who struck Helena down, turns to face me, probably expecting a quick, clean finish. He ain't expecting the hurricane. The obsidian blade moves, but it ain't Jeremiah moving. Helena's voice was a flat, detached narration of her own demise. It's something else, something ancient and terrifying. His cherry-hilted katana ain't just steel no more. It's a conduit for all his pain, all his fury. Every strike is a memory of my smile, every parry a whisper of my name. The assassin is good, no doubt. Fast, precise. But the blade? He's fighting with the strength of a man who's got absolutely nothing left to lose. And that's a dangerous kind of strength. The fight is brutal, a whirlwind of motion and violence on the slick, dark docks. The blade ain't fighting with technique now. He's fighting with raw, unadulterated emotion. The Yami flow is pumping through him, giving him speed he didn't know he had, strength he didn't know he possessed. He takes hits that would put down a normal man, shrugs them off like mosquito bites. The pain is just fuel for the fire. So he's using a flow absorption and redirection style, but unconsciously? Samson cut in, a flicker of concern in his eyes. He's absorbing the kinetic force and turning it into destructive power? But this is not a product of discipline, Jeremiah. This is pure, unbridled rage. A dangerous game. He sees an opening, a fractional hesitation in the assassin's eyes, maybe surprise, maybe even a flicker of fear. The blade seizes it. With a guttural roar, he lunges, his katana a black streak of vengeance. It finds its mark. Deep, final. The assassin crumples, another ghost joining the rain-swept night. But there's no victory for the blade, just a cold, hollow emptiness. He stumbles back to Helena, kneeling beside her, the rain washing the blood from his face, mingling with the tears he don't even realize he's crying. He gently picks up the fallen amulet, its wood stained dark. He holds her, rocking back and forth, the storm inside him matching the one raging over Tokyo. The Yakuza, the betrayal, the escape. None of it matters now. All that matters is the woman growing cold in his arms. Then, something shifts. A flicker, not in Helena. In him. Through the all-consuming Yami, a tiny, improbable spark. A memory. Helena talking about old legends. About hidden temples where the flow runs so pure it can mend what's broken. Maybe even cheat death. Whispers I'd dismissed as folklore. As desperate hope. But now, with nothing left, that desperate hope is all I've got. A ghost of a chance. The resonance echo flow. Shortcut blurted. His hands flying. It's a psychic flashback, triggered by emotional trauma. He was dragging forth a spectral echo of her words to create a psychologically impactful environment for himself. A lifeline made of memory. I look up from Helena's pale face, my eyes burning with a new, terrifying resolve. The Yakuza want me dead? Fine. The world thinks Jeremiah Crumpler is a ghost? Perfect. I'll become something more. I'll find this temple. I'll master this pure flow. I'll bring her back. Or I'll die trying, and drag every last one of my enemies into the Yami with me. The obsidian blade rises, Helena cradled in his arms. He's no longer just a warrior or an enforcer. He's a man on a razor's edge, consumed by grief and fueled by an impossible quest. The path ahead is dark, uncertain, and probably leads straight to hell. But he walks it anyway. For Helena, the roar of Yami is his only companion. The saga ain't over. It's just entered its darkest chapter yet. Saga of Helena. Chapter 7. The Mountain's Teeth and the Oni's Kiss. The obsidian blade is a ghost, moving through the underbelly of Japan with Helena's lifeless form. I growled, the memory of that desperate journey a cold, hard knot in my gut. The Yakuza are hunting him, the cops are a non-issue, because Jeremiah Crumpler is already 6 feet under in their files. He's driven by that one desperate legend Helena whispered about, a hidden temple, a pure flow, a power to cheat death. It's a fool's errand, a madman's quest, but it's all he's got left. His journey is a blur of rain-soaked nights and sun-scorched days, Helena's voice picked up, detached and ethereal. He travels light, just his cherry-hilted katana, the clothes on his back, and the precious, fragile burden in his arms. The Yami flow is his constant companion, a cold fire in his veins, keeping him going when any sane man would have given up. He navigates by instinct, by the faint whispers of the flow itself, drawn towards the desolate, forgotten corners of the land. He got across mountains that look like the jagged teeth of some ancient beast, snow-capped peaks tearing at the sky. The air is thin, the wind howls like a banshee, and the cold seeps into his bones. He faces blizzards that threaten to bury them both, treacherous ice falls, and the gnawing hunger that makes his vision blur. More than once, he collapses, ready to let the Yami take him. But then he looks at Helena's peaceful, frozen face, and that impossible hope, that ghost of a chance, forces him back to his feet. He ain't alone in these desolate lands, I continued, the memory of those desperate battles sharpening my tone. Bandits, Ronin looking for an easy score, even wild animals driven mad by hunger. They all try to take what little he has. But the obsidian blade ain't in the mood for games. His bipolar flow, amplified by grief and desperation, is a weapon of terrifying efficiency. He moves through these encounters like a phantom, his katana a whisper of death, leaving only silence and crimson snow in his wake. He ain't fighting for honor or glory. He's fighting for that one last desperate chance. The corrupted geomancy flow of the mountains was aiding him. Tara's voice was a low rustle, her eyes dark and knowing. The earth resonated with his sorrow. With the cold fire of his soul, the land itself became a weapon to protect him, to impale his foes. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of hardship and bloodshed, he finds it, Helena said, her voice now filled with a strange, dark wonder. Not some grand gold-plated temple, but a crumbling, ancient ruin, half swallowed by a dark, twisted forest, nestled high in a valley shrouded in perpetual mist. The air here is thick, heavy, vibrating with an energy that makes the hairs on his neck stand up. It ain't the pure, clean flow I spoke of. This is something else. Something older, darker. He carries me into the heart of the ruins, to a crumbling stone altar where the energy is strongest. It pulses, a deep, rhythmic thrum, like the heartbeat of something primal. He lays me gently on the cold stone, that small wooden amulet clutched in my hand. He closes his eyes, reaches out with his senses, trying to tap into this flow, to channel it, to beg it, to force it to bring me back. And that's when he feels it. The legend was true. There is a power here, a potent energy capable of working miracles, of bending the rules of life and death. But it ain't no benevolent spirit, no gentle stream of life-giving energy. This is raw. This is wild. This is Oni energy. The kind that corrupts. the kind that demands a price, the kind that the Wu-Tang Clan themselves fought against. So he became a twin demon flow? Shortcut's voice was a panicked squeal, his hands a blur. He didn't just take on her negative traits, he amplified them by using Oni energy. That's a highly volatile fusion of chaotic energy and psychic immunity, man. You were already a danger, but now, you're a walking disaster waiting to happen. The obsidian blade, standing at the precipice, Helena's life hanging in the balance, feels a moment of hesitation. This ain't what he expected. This ain't the pure salvation he was hoping for. This is a dangerous path, a gamble with his own soul and hers. But then he looks at her, and the choice is no choice at all. He opens himself to the Oni energy, letting it flood into him, a torrent of dark power. It's intoxicating, terrifying. He can feel it twist in him, change in him, but he don't care. All that matters is Helena. He channels that dark, potent flow, that Oni's kiss, pouring it into her, begging the shadows to give her back. The ruins tremble, the air crackles, and the line between life and death, between salvation and damnation, becomes very, very thin. He's playing with fire, the kind of fire that could consume everything. But for Helena, he'd walk through hell itself. And maybe, just maybe, he already is. Of Helena, Chapter 8, Shadow and Blade, Reborn in Rage. The Oni energy, it worked, kinda. Helena's voice was a flat, chilling monotone, devoid of emotion as she recounted her own resurrection. My eyes snap open, but the light in them? Gone, replaced by a cold, hard gleam, like polished obsidian. I sit up, and the blade can feel it straight away. This ain't the same Helena who taught him about the gentle currents of the flow. This ain't the woman whose smile could melt the Yami in his soul. Kenzan, I say, my voice a low growl, like a panther about to strike. Where are those bastards who did this to me? The Oni energy didn't just bring me back. It twisted something inside me, amplified all the pain, all the trauma, all the rage I'd been carrying from my messed up childhood and my life in the Yakuza's grip. The drugs she used to numb herself? The Oni flow is the new drug, and it's 1,000 times more potent, feeding off that darkness. I watched her, a pang in my chest, a deep ache. This ain't the reunion I fought so hard for. But then I look at her, standing there, alive, breathing, a fire in her eyes that matches the one in my own. I made a deal with the shadows, and this is the price. I ain't gonna flinch now. They'll pay, Helena, I say, my voice rough. Every last one of them. But wait a minute, Tempo interrupted, her voice a sonic blast of skepticism. The Oni flow amplified her rage and your rage, and that made you even more of a destructive force? That's a toxic love flow, a destructive force arising from deeply intertwined relational dynamics, amplifying negative traits, and disrupting harmony through personal connections. You guys are like a walking, talking musical theater number about unhealthy relationships and codependence. I make the best of it. I got her back, even if she's a shadow of her former self. Maybe this new Helena, this creature of rage and darkness, is what we need to survive out here in the wilderness, hunted and alone. And she got powers now, yo. That Oni energy ain't just for show. She can move with unnatural speed, her strength amplified. She can tap into that dark flow, sending out waves of pure, terrifying anger that can paralyze a man, fill his head with his deepest fears. It's like her pain has become her weapon, and that's where the Oni flow comes in, Samson rumbled, his voice a deep, steady undercurrent. It grants psychic immunity, enhanced physical prowess, and destructive capabilities, fueled by rage. She is impervious to psychic attacks in her Oni mode. A dangerous but powerful gift. We need gear, Helena snarls, looking down at her tattered kimono. And I need something that bites. So we do what we gotta do. We find a forgotten shrine, probably once dedicated to some vengeful war god. Inside, ancient armor, discarded weapons. Helena straps on pieces of blackened samurai armor, scarred and dented from battles long past. It fits her new persona, all sharp angles and dark menace. She finds a pair of wicked-looking kama, those short, curved sickles on chains. In her hands, they ain't farm tools. They're extensions of her fury. I watch her, a grim satisfaction mixing with the sorrow. I lost my Helena, the gentle one, but I gained a partner. A warrior. They call you the Obsidian Blade, Helena says, twirling a kama, the metal whistling through the air. What does that make me? I look at her, at the darkness swirling in her eyes, the raw power radiating off her. You're the Shadow Fang, I say, the name coming to me like an echo of the Oni ruins. She grins, a sharp, predatory flash of teeth. I like it. We leave the mountains, no longer just a warrior protecting a fragile memory, but a tag team from hell. The Obsidian Blade and the Shadow Fang. He's still got his bipolar flow, that wild storm, but now, With Helena's focused rage beside him, it feels different. More controlled. More purposeful. He helps her channel her new dark powers, teaching her to focus that anger, to make it a precision instrument instead of a wild inferno. He understands that darkness, that rage. It's a language they both speak fluently. We hit a small village on the outskirts of the forest, looking for supplies, information. The villagers, simple folk, farmers and woodcutters, they take one look at this pair and damn near have a heart attack. The Blade, with his grim aura and that blood-red hilted katana, and Helena, looking like a vengeful spirit in her dark armor, her eyes burning holes in anyone who meets her gaze. Who are you? Stammers the village elder, a wrinkled old man with more courage than sense. The Blade steps forward, his voice low and steady, a counterpoint to the simmering fury coming off Helena. We're just travelers, old one, looking for a hot meal and a place to rest our heads. We don't mean no harm, unless harm comes looking for us. Helena just glares, her hand tight on her comma. The elder gulps. There's an inn, down the road. They might have a room. He points a shaky finger. Obliged, the Blade says, giving a slight bow that don't quite match the menace in his eyes. As they walk towards the inn, a couple of village toughs, probably thinking they can bully these strange newcomers, step into their path. You ain't welcome here, freaks, one of them sneers, puffing out his chest. Helena lets out a low, dangerous laugh. Freaks, she says, her voice sending shivers down their spines. You ain't seen nothing yet, Baka. Before the Blade can even move, she's on him. A whirlwind of black armor and flashing comma. It ain't a fight. It's a damn slaughter. The toughs go down screaming, clutching at bloody wounds, their bravado evaporating like mist in the sun. The Blade watches, a grim pride in his eyes. Yeah, this ain't the Helena he knew. But this Shadow Fang, she can handle herself. And together, they're a force that's gonna make the Yakuza, and anyone else who gets in their way, regret the day they ever crossed paths with the Obsidian Blade and his reborn queen. The duo from hell is just getting started. Saga of Helena, Chapter 9, The Concrete Jungle Gym of Pain, Finale, Act 1. Alright, lock and load, cause we about to drop the grand finale, the R-rated, parkour action, dark humor revenge tour of the Obsidian Blade, and his newly minted Shadow Fang, Helena. I announced, my voice full of a raw, adrenaline-fueled glee. We've been through the ringer, tasted Oni energy, and now it's time to collect some serious debts from the Yakuza clan that tried to play him. They back in Tokyo, but this ain't no sightseeing trip. This is a goddamn reckoning. Helena's voice was a low hum of anticipation, her comma-wielding hands trembling slightly with a controlled fury. We move like wraiths through the neon-drenched streets, two figures of focused fury. I'm fueled by that Oni rage and my new comma skills, a blur of black leather and flashing steel. The Blade, he's the anchor, his bipolar flow a controlled inferno, his cherry-hilted katana singing its death song. Their first target? A high-ranking lieutenant in the Yakuza clan, the one who gave the order for their betrayal. This dude, Tanaka, thinks he's safe in his penthouse apartment, surrounded by guards thicker than a sumo wrestler's neck. He wrong. I call temporal stutter flow, shortcut blurted, his hands flying. Tanaka's perception of time was off, man. He thought he had all the time in the world, but his reality was a series of brief, overlapping moments that made him jerky and desynchronized. It's a localized temporal desynchronization that traps opponents in stuttering movements. All right, Shadow Fang, I growled, scouting the building from a rooftop across the street, rain slicking my dark gear. Tanaka's on the top floor. How you want to play this? Loud and bloody, or quiet and, well, still bloody, but quieter? Helena grinned, a feral flash in the neon glow. Loud makes him scatter, Kenzan. Quiet makes him scream. Let's make him scream so loud their ancestors hear it. And it's on. This ain't no stealth mission. This is a parkour-fueled ballet of brutality. We hit the fire escape, the Blade using his staff to vault gaps, Helena running up walls like she gravity's bitch. We ain't knocking on doors. We crashing through windows, shards of glass raining down on unsuspecting Yakuza goons. Surprise, motherfudgers. Helena shrieks, landing in a three-point stance amidst a poker game. Calm is already whirling. The goons scramble for their pieces, but she's too fast, a whirlwind of death. One dude gets a comma to the throat, gurgling his last hand. Another tries to draw a bead, but the Blade is already there, his katana taking the dude's arm off at the shoulder with a sickening thwack. Anyone else want to play? The Blade snarls, his eyes glowing with that Yami intensity. The remaining goons, seeing their boys bleeding out, decide poker ain't their game no more and try to bolt. Bad move. A twisted chance flow, Tempo muttered, her face pale. You manipulated the probability of unlikely events. The goons' weapons malfunctioned, they tripped, and their escape routes failed. It's a jinx that introduces extreme unpredictability into any engagement. Helena cackles, chasing one down a hallway, her comma chains whipping out, tripping him face first into a priceless Ming vase. "Oops, Butterfingers," she quips, before silencing his whimpering with a swift stomp. The Blade, meanwhile, is clearing rooms with brutal efficiency. He kicks open a door to find two more suits looking terrified. "Yo, heard you guys were looking for a Jeremiah Crumpler?" he asks, a twisted grin on his face. He ain't home, but the Obsidian Blade is here to take a message. The message is delivered in a flurry of steel and screams. They fight their way up, floor by bloody floor. The Blade using his environment, leaping off walls, swinging from pipes. His movement's a chaotic dance. Helena is pure aggression, her Oni-fueled rage making her a terrifying force. She's laughing, a wild, unhinged sound as she carves her way through Tanaka's private army. "Damn, girl," the Blade grunts after they double-team a particularly large goon, sending him tumbling down a flight of stairs with a series of well-placed strikes. "That Oni juice really puts some pep in your step." Helena just winks, blood spattering her cheek like grotesque freckles. "Just getting warmed up, Kenzan." Finally, they reach the penthouse. Tanaka, a portly man in a silk robe, is looking pale and sweaty. He's got two massive bodyguards, but they look about as confident as a chihuahua facing a pit bull. "Tanaka-san," the Blade says, his voice deceptively calm. "We need to talk about a little misunderstanding down by the docks." Tanaka sputters, I don't know what you're..." Helena doesn't let him finish. With a roar, she launches herself across the opulent room. Kama's a silver blur. Act 1 of their revenge. It's hitting its bloody crescendo. Of Helena. Chapter 10. Rooftop Rhapsody of Retribution. Finale, Act 2. Tanaka's bodyguards step up, trying to protect their boss, but they ain't dealing with no ordinary assassins, I said, a dark satisfaction in my voice. Shadowfang is on him like white on rice. Her kama's a whirlwind. She ducks under a clumsy sword thrust from one, using the chain of her other kama to wrap around his leg, yanking him off balance. As he stumbles, the Blade is there, his katana a dark flash, ending the bodyguard's career permanently. "A temporal stutter flow," Tempo chimed in, a grin spreading across her face. "You trapped him in a desynchronized loop, Jeremiah, where his movements were jerky and fragmented. He was a sitting duck. The second guard, seeing his buddy go down, tries to make a break for the balcony. Not so fast, piggy." Helena snarls, throwing a kama with pinpoint accuracy. It embeds itself in the dude's calf, sending him howling to his knees. Tanaka, meanwhile, is scrabbling backwards, looking for an escape that ain't there. "Please, mercy," he whimpers, his silk robe doing nothing to hide his shaking. "Mercy?" I said, my voice a low, dangerous rumble. You know, Helena here was asking for the same thing down by the docks. Funny how that works out, ain't it? I tapped the flat of my blade against Tanaka's cheek. "You ever seen a cherry blossom fall in the rain, Tanaka-san?" It's a sad sight. Helena saunters over, cleaning her kama on a nearby curtain, a terrifyingly calm smile on her face. "He looks scared, Kenzan. I like him scared. We ain't gonna kill you, Tanaka," I say, and for a second, a flicker of hope crosses the Yakuza boss's face. "Nah, we gonna make an example out of you. The toxic love flow in action," Samson intoned, his face a mask of disapproval. "You weren't killing him, you were poisoning his existence, destroying his harmony, amplifying his despair. A fate worse than death for a man of his standing. What follows ain't pretty. We don't just kill him, we dismantle his life, piece by piece, right in front of his eyes. Financial records? Wiped, courtesy of a little gadget the Blade borrowed. His network of informants? Given an anonymous tip about Tanaka's cooperation with a rival clan, sowing chaos and distrust. His prized art collection? Let's just say Helena discovered a new talent for redecorating with her kamas. The dark humor is thick as we work. Hey, Kenzan, Helena calls out, holding up a severed telephone line. Think Tanaka's gonna have trouble making calls after this? I just grunt. Long-distance charges are a killer, Fang. We leave Tanaka a broken man, his empire crumbling, his reputation in tatters. He's alive, yeah, but his life as he knew it is over. That's a fate worse than death in their world. As we make our escape, alarms finally blaring, we ain't slowing down. We hit the rooftops, Tokyo spread out beneath us like a glittering, indifferent sea. This is where the parkour goes into overdrive. We leap across impossible gaps, slide down rain-slicked tiles, swing from neon signs. The Blade moves with a desperate grace, his bipolar flow now a finely tuned instrument of agility and power. Helena, she's a wildcat, her Oni-enhanced senses making her movements fluid and fearless. So your bipolar flow was not only a destructive force, it was an adaptive and unpredictable one that gave you agility and power. Shortcut exclaimed, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and terror. And her Oni flow gave her enhanced senses and a raw, untamed power. You two are like a twin demon flow, a monstrous force of synchronized destruction and rage. Race ya to the Sumida River, she yells over the wind, vaulting over an air conditioning unit. You're on, I shout back, a rare, almost joyful laugh escaping my lips despite the carnage we just caused. For a moment we ain't just instruments of vengeance. We're two souls running free, laughing in the face of death. The second act of our revenge is a high-flying, adrenaline-fueled masterpiece. Chapter 11, The Last Sakura, Finale, Act 3. The final target, the Oyabun, the big boss, the old man who sits at the top of the Yakuza food chain, the one who ultimately signed off on their betrayal. He's holding court at a traditional, secluded estate outside the city, surrounded by his most elite guard, the Sakura Syndicate, killers named after cherry blossoms, beautiful and deadly. The Obsidian Blade and Shadow Fang ain't coming in quiet this time either. We make our approach through the estate's meticulously manicured gardens, the scent of pine and wet earth heavy in the air. It's eerily quiet. Too quiet. This feels like a trap, Kenzan, Helena whispers, her come already. No doubt, Jeremiah replies, his hand resting on the hilt of his katana. Wouldn't have it any other way. The Sakura Syndicate attacks. They pour out from behind trees, from the shadows of pagodas, their blades whispering through the night. These ain't no street thugs. These are master swordsmen, disciplined and deadly. What follows is the most intense fight of their lives. The Blade and Fang against a dozen elite killers. It's a symphony of steel, a dance of death under the pale moonlight. The Blade is a whirlwind of his Hikari and Yami flow, his katana a blur, parrying, striking, moving with a speed that defies human limits. He fights with the spirit of 100 samurai, every move honed by years of pain and training. Helena is his perfect counterpart. Her Oni-fueled rage is a terrifying spectacle. Her kamas are everywhere, deflecting blows, finding openings, her movements unpredictable and savage. She takes down two of the Sakura Guard in a flurry of chain strikes, a guttural roar tearing from her throat. You want some too, pretty boys? She screams, her eyes blazing with dark energy. One of the Sakura swordsmen, a stoic older warrior, engages the blade. You fight with considerable skill, Gaijin, he says, their swords locking. But you fight with too much anger. It will be your undoing. Anger's all I got left, Pops. The blade snarls, breaking the lock and delivering a vicious pommel strike to the man's face. And it's working out just fine for me. They fight their way to the main house. Bodies of the Sakura Guard litter in the pristine gardens. The Oyabun is waiting for them in a large, ornate room, seated calmly on a tatami mat, a single, perfectly blooming sakura branch in a vase beside him. He's an old man, but his eyes are like chips of ice. So, the Oyabun says, his voice surprisingly strong, the foreign devil and his broken doll have come to claim their pound of flesh. We ain't here for a pound, old man, the Blade says, stepping forward, his katana dripping. We're here for the whole damn pig. The Oyabun actually chuckles. You have spirit. I'll give you that. A shame it was wasted. He gestures to two hidden panels that slide open, revealing his last two guards, hulking brutes armed with nodachi, massive two-handed swords. Last dance, Kenzan? Helena asks, a bloody grin spreading across her face. Let's make it a good one, Fang, Jeremiah replies. The final battle is joined. The Blade takes on one brute, their swords clashing with enough force to shake the ancient house. Helena, agile and ferocious, dances around the other, her kama's a whirlwind, looking for an opening. The Blade, using his bipolar flow to anticipate his opponent's moves, finds his rhythm. He flows around a heavy downward slash, his own katana coming up in a devastating arc that bites deep into the brute's side. The giant collapses with a wet gurgle. Helena, seeing her opening, uses her kama chains to ensnare her opponent's nodachi, yanking it from his grasp. Before he can react, her other kama flashes, and it's over. Now, it's just us and the Oyabun. The old man sighs, a look of resignation on his face. It seems the cherry blossoms fall for everyone, eventually. He reaches for the Sakura branch, a single petal detaching and floating to the floor. The Blade raises his katana. Helena steps beside him. Her kama's ready. Any last words, old man? The Blade asks. The Oyabun looks at them, a strange mix of respect and contempt in his eyes. You think this is revenge? You think this is an ending? He shakes his head slowly. This is just another verse in a very old song. The Yakuza endures. Helena spits on the floor. Not your part of it, Grandpa. The Blade says nothing. He just brings his katana down. Swift. Clean. Final. They stand there for a moment amidst the carnage, the scent of blood and cherry blossoms filling the air. Revenge is a bitter drink, and it don't quench the thirst for what they truly lost. So, Helena says, her voice quiet now, the Oni rage subsiding a little, leaving something that looks a lot like exhaustion. What now, Kenzan? The blade looks out at the blood-soaked garden, at the fallen Sakura guard. He takes her hand, his grip surprisingly gentle. Now we find our own damn song to sing, Fang. Somewhere far away from all this. They walk out of that estate, leaving behind a legacy of death and betrayal, the obsidian blade and his shadow fang, two broken souls who found something like salvation in each other's darkness. Their revenge is complete. But their story? That shit's just getting started. Tokyo's underworld will whisper their names for generations. And somewhere out there, the blade and fang are carving out a new path, one step at a time, together, against whatever fresh hell the world decides to throw at them. Word is bond. That's how the finale drops.
I used to need a cute girl, but now I got a bad bitch. I used to wanna rule the world, but now I gotta have it. I used to like to roll the dice, how the morning light then vanish. Now I'm like a poltergeist at midnight doing damage. I used to need a cute girl, but now I got a bad bitch. I used to wanna rule the world, but now I gotta have it. I used to like to roll the dice, how the morning light then vanish. Now I'm like a poltergeist at midnight doing damage. I got that Sunday scary poltergeist, purgatory kind of life. Lock the door and hit the lights. Don't be scared, just grab a knife. Slit my wrist and watch my life slip away throughout the night. Drain my blood and sacrifice for the ones who need a fight. Tell me if you want it and need me, I got it, baby. I can make you fall in love, it's so easy. A trauma-filled narcotic, 50 shades of red. I turn that body into OF profit. Ha 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 ha, I'm making Baylor, you know I surround it. I ain't no tiny Tim, I ain't tiptoeing through the lips. I'm a violin metal, something right on through it. Someone cry me a river so I can go and fucking drown to it. See you at the bottom, baby, future got some time to it. I got no hands on the steering wheel, red light, yeah, I blew. I threw some bands in a wishing well, yeah, they got a ring to it. 7 days to live, 7 ways to die, 7 days to rid, 7 family ties like apocalypse. I am number 5, 7 deadly sins, Diggy came to ride. Hopped up the Bronco with OJ and Blanco. I used to be a cute girl, but now I got a bad bitch. I used to wanna rule the world, but now I gotta have it. I used to like to roll the dice, how the morning light then vanish. Now I'm like a poltergeist at midnight doing damage. I used to need a cute girl, but now